everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. If you're new to my channel, thank you for being here. I am a gardener here in the state of Missouri. I live in the middle part of the state and I happen to garden in a zone 6. We were a 6A, now we're a 6B. I don't really pay attention to that. I grow what I can grow, but basically we're a zone 6. So thank you so much for being here. So today is the day that I'm going to tackle a project that I should have tackled long ago, and that is this area right here. This is supposed to be a hosta bed. It doesn't look like a hosta bed, does it? Because I have let these suckers, these sassafras trees, grow up in here and just take over. So let me give you a little bit of background. Back in May, I thought I would take this area and try to create a hosta garden. My late mother-in-law, Maggie, was an amazing hosta grower. She probably had upwards of 50 or 60 varieties of hosta on her property for many, many years. And so I thought, you know, we don't have a lot of shade. We live out here on 10 acres and there's not a lot of shade to create little gardens, but I thought, this spot, maybe I would try it. So what I tried to set this bed up with was to use the no-till method. So no-till is where you will lay something on the ground like cardboard. In our case, that's what we did. Laid out cardboard, and then we piled about 6 to 8 inches of really good soil and compost on top, and let that cardboard break down a little bit over, a couple of months, and then plant directly into that. And so that's how we set up this bed. And what I planted into that were hostas. Unfortunately, I let these sassafras trees take over. And, it is just such a busy time of year. All summer long, you've been following my channel. You've seen all the wonderful fun projects I've been doing. I do all kinds of gardening. And so now here we are in just the very first few days of September. It is amazingly cool outside, and so here I am thinking I gotta tackle this project that I put off by getting rid of these sassafras trees, so that we can nurture these hostas that are underneath. So I thought I'd take you along on this story of, what do you call it, where you put something off. Procrastination. But as gardeners, don't we all have spots in our property that we're like, yeah, I'll get to that when I get to it. And now we're getting to it. So before I jump in and show you what I'm going to do, let me show you what I'm going to need for this project. So I've got my little refuse bag here, so that once I cut all of these starts out, I'll have somewhere to toss them and then get them in the compost. I've got my little garden rake, and then down here I have gloves, garden gloves. Sometimes I wear them, sometimes I don't. Today I will. I've got a couple of different types of pruners. I've got the little snips and the bigger ones. I might need to get the loppers. I don't really know how big around some of these stems are, so if I need to go get those, I will. I've got my kneeling pad because I'm going to be down on the ground for a while. And then here's the product I'm going to use. So if you're watching this YouTube channel, you probably watch other gardeners on YouTube and get really great inspiration and ideas. And so I have been seeing a lot of my favorite YouTube gardeners using this bonide product called Sucker Punch. So the idea here is, once I've cut off all those suckers that I don't want in this garden, then I'm just going to paint on the very top of the cuts, paint on this product, and supposedly it says it controls sprouts and sucker growth on apples, olives, pears, non-bearing citrus, and ornamental woody plants. So I will be sure to put a link in the description below to this particular product for any of you that might want to try it. So yeah, that's basically all we need for the job. So so it's time for me to quit procrastinating and get to clearing this bed out. Before I get to the project, I thought I would come in close and just show you how bad this area looks. So you can see, can't you see some hostas? They look horrible. There's one. This is a new one I planted. There's one, there's one, but look at all this other stuff that's hiding the hostas. So yeah, it's looking pretty awful. What I did want to show you also is you might see this right here. So we fence this area all the way around this bed because we're out here on 10 acres. And the further you get, let me pan over here and show you where the house sits, just to give you a perspective here. So our house is way over there. And you all have followed me. You've, been in my greenhouse a lot and my raised vegetable and flower garden. But, this bed is pretty darn far away from the house. And I'm really concerned that the deer would just come in here and have a huge, huge buffet of hostas if we didn't fence it in. And I know that's not very pretty fencing. If you guys have an idea of how I can protect these hostas from deer, in a prettier way. But anyways, we took the fence down, rolled it up, and then when I'm done, I will place it back. And the only good thing about this particular kind of black mesh netting fence is that black in the landscape disappears. So, when you have this kind of fencing, you really, from a distance, it doesn't show up. You can sort of see through it. So anyhow, I'm making the best of this situation. And all right, enough talk. Can you tell I'm still procrastinating? I'm going to set the camera up and you guys can just see me get after this long-awaited project. So I grabbed the leaf blower here because I want to kind of blow off some of the stuff that's still in here that I cut, and then take another look again for anything that I missed, and cut that off. And then I'll get the sucker punch product out and take my time and go all through here because there were a lot of suckers. All right, well, I popped my camera on my little hands-free lavalier, I guess you would call it, so that you could see a close-up view of me applying that sucker punch product. But just take a look. Oh my gosh, so much better already, right? Okay, so let's turn around here and take a look at the product that I mentioned earlier. So Sucker Punch is the name of the product, and of course I am sure that it's got directions here. I am sure that I should be wearing gloves to apply this. So this is a time I will definitely wear my garden gloves. All right, so just looking at the directions here, just in terms of, first aid. So I would say try not to get it on your skin, and definitely not in your eyes. And don't drink this product. Okay, I think I can proceed with opening this. So I'll put my gloves on here. Yeah, don't you like how I'm working on top of my propane tank? Oh, the joys of living in the country and needing to have propane to heat your house and to cook your food. Anyways, so let's see. Oh gosh, well, hello. Not even, that's wild. There's not even like a seal. That's surprising. All right, so the idea here is I'm just supposed to brush this on to all of those suckers. So let me come in here. Let's find a bigger one. All right, let's look at this one right here. I hope you can see it. So this is the one right here. And so I guess here we go. You just take this product and just right on the top. I don't know if I'm going to have to do another application. I will read up a little bit on it and see if there's anything else I can provide you guys in terms of details. But, you know, that's the task. So I've got, you know, a lot of suckers to paint. So let me get that done. And then we'll do the cleanup and put the fence back in order. Well, that was so much easier than I thought it was going to be. So, of course, that begs the question, why in the world didn't I tackle this project sooner? You know, I've been busy with other things in the garden, like a lot of you have. But now that we're in the early part of September, it's cooling off, and most of my big garden chores are ending. It gave me a chance to get out here and take care of this, and I'm so glad that I did. A couple of things I wanted to share with you. I looked on the website for this Sucker Punch product. It's Bonide, I think, is the company, and they said that it lasts up to 6 months. So we'll do an experiment. We shall see. They said it's always best to apply that to freshly cut suckers, which I did. So hopefully that will work. And I'm also thinking, you know, it might not be a bad idea to kind of check the forecast and try to apply this when you don't have any rain in the forecast, because I really want it to settle on the tips of all those suckers and do its job. So, you know, I will be bringing you back to this little spot and give you a progress report. And, you know, of course, I have neglected it, as I said. And one of the things that I have neglected to do is to water it on a regular basis. It's not on drip irrigation. I have a little sprinkler out here, and when I remember, I turn it on. But I really need to, next season, make sure I have this on my to-do list once a week. Wednesdays are my weeding and watering, meaning, of course, I water all my other stuff much more often than once a week, but big pots that like my aqua pots that I only have to fill the reservoir once a week, I need to put this on. I think it could get by with a once a week good soak. So that's going to be a to-do and a learning for next year. So only thing left is for me to wrap this little area with my fencing so that the deer don't come in and destroy all my hard work. So until next time, everybody, happy gardening.